Hey guys, thanks for joining in today to another series from Vmaker. And today I have probably the most energetic person whom I've met so far, uh, David Youngblood from Outplay. So thanks, David. Thanks for joining us in. Excited to have you here.
Absolutely, Lakshman. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me. Definitely another exciting time, and you definitely got a great topic for us. So, looking forward to it.
Absolutely. So for those of you who don't know the backstory, is I pinged Lakshman, who is also to the CEO of Outplay. So we share a common name. I just pinged him and said, do you want to do a webinar? He said, you know what, this person is going to be probably the ideal person to talk more about this. So we'll be talking more today on ramping up outbound engagement with videos, I guess. And by the way, this series is going to be named as Seal the Deal. We'll cover all sales topics under this particular title. So David, you're actually the first host, first guest to turn up for Seal the Deal since we named it. I've been doing this for a year. And over the year, I've been telling people, at the end of webinar, like, please do suggest me a name for this. I've been running out of names for this. And then finally we decided, okay, Seal the Deal for all sales related content. And you're the first guest here. So another special mention on that.
Absolutely. Well, that's truly an honor. Thank you.
Awesome. Then, so I'm not gonna take too much delay here, so I'm just gonna jump in straight to the question. It's going to be purely conversational, guys. If at all you're watching this on YouTube, you'll also find all the timestamps below, so you can just use it for reference quickly. So David, first question I want to throw at you is, what has been your experience with videos in order to generate pipeline? I know you're like super ninja, in terms of booking more meetings, closing more people, but how exactly have you been using videos in order to help you with this complete process?
Yeah, no, I appreciate the question, and that's very broad. So, I appreciate that too, because you need some flexibility when you're coming out and trying something like this, right? So,
Yeah.
by and large, it's new, right? It's relatively new to use videos for a variety of use cases. For me, my team, and a lot of our customers here at Outplay, that's for prospecting efforts, right? Business development efforts. And it's really been a big living experiment, right? Trial and error, figure out what's working, break it, get some feedback from some prospects, some good, some bad, and then kind of rinse, wash, repeat, right? So, by and large, though, the consensus today is that video prospecting is and can be a part of your differentiation, right? So using
Yeah.
a different approach and a different channel for communication is certainly another way of getting attention, right? We all work hard every single day to try and get the time and attention of somebody that can make or influence a buying decision. And so often, we try all these different things. All of us as salespeople, we've tried crazy phrases, we've tried crazy tools, we've tried, a bunch of silly and or crazy things. And I think this just kind of adds to the mix of the experiment of what it is to be in business development, what it is to be a prospector. But the even better is, it can be your differentiator, and it adds a personal level of touch, right? And we
Yeah.
talk about personalization a lot in the space, and what can be more personal, outside of a face-to-face interaction, but in the new normal that is today,
Yeah.
what could be more personal than a video message? So hopefully that answers that question.
Yep, I think trial and error is what I'm gonna get, from what you've spoken so far. So that's probably interesting. And one thing I've noticed is, you mentioned that video is something different. People find it like, wow, it's a video. And the good part is, yes, you're creating a differentiation with your videos, but again, the scary part is that it's not probably going to last long, right? People are also jumping into the video market. It's probably a matter of time before this space gets a lot of crowded, and we'll all have our inbox full with probably 6 to 10 videos every day instead of just receiving 6 to 10 cold emails every day as well. But we'll talk more on that. Another, like, a follow-up question I wanted to ask is, I asked, like, I introduced you saying this, you are somebody who books meetings and you also help them to close. So obviously the sales journey doesn't stop at one particular point. It's like hunting down and then, warming up and then, finding their pitch point, like, the entire process. And then even after conversion, there is a part called customer success. If at all, like, some people tend to maintain the relationship over even after the purchase in order to, complete and see how more value we can add it. So throughout this entire sales journey, or sort of this customer hyphen sales journey, what are the areas wherein you think videos are helping you well? Are there any specific areas to point out or specific scenarios to build, wherein you felt like, hey, these are some places wherein you should be using videos?
Yeah, I mean, For me, in my role, it's definitely leaning heavily towards the prospecting effort or prospecting initiatives, right? Doing video prospecting. But in terms of like carrying it forward in the sales process, other places that it's helped me or I found value in it is making an introduction, right? Providing that personal warm referral or introduction to, a colleague, a superior, or asking for an introduction to a colleague of your prospects, or suggesting to your current prospect if they're suggesting to refer you to someone else, hey, would you mind if I put together a brief video message, for the person you're introducing me to, right? And so it sets the stage for a different level of engagement, right? It kind of ups the class and quality of that sales opportunity just because you've invested that little bit more time into personalizing it, right? But other great places, for those of us in this space, of sales and business development, to leverage videos is in your nurturing, right? So, how many times have we been out there and had a deal go dark and silent, right? Just between sales cycles, right? Between meetings, leveraging a video to remind them not just what you're about and that you want to get back on status with the evaluation of the opportunity, but reminding them who you are, your charming personality, that great smile, right, and some of the content in a brief video.
Yeah.
Great way to continue and reinforce that rapport, and even more important in the new normal that is today, right, where face to face obviously isn't as much of an option. So I'd say and argue that it's even more important and pressing to leverage video for nurturing and throughout sales cycle. And the last area I would say to both sides of this. So HR and managers out there, I would encourage you to request, videos from your candidates, right, from your interviewees. And
Yeah.
those of you applying and looking for jobs, I would suggest a 30-minute, not 30-minute, 30-second,
A video resume is what we call.
yeah, absolutely, video resumes. So those would be some other use cases I'd see commonly applying to our space.
Got it. One interesting fact that when I was joining Vmaker team, they sort of gave me a project, and they want me to submit this project as a part of this interview process, and I was like looking into it, and I thought, okay, why not we create a video? Like, they are a video-based company, so obviously, this is probably going to give me a good understanding of the platform as well. And they're like, you know what, we sent it to too many people, nobody turned up with a video, and that was like they coined that sort of, it doesn't matter whether for example, if somebody is sharing their video resume, it doesn't always mean that you're going to get a job because of your video resume, but it definitely helps the person who's interviewing you to remember you. That sort of creates an impression or something they call it. Definitely works in that way.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you're trying to get through the noise, right? Whether you're
Exactly.
prospecting for a sales opportunity or prospecting for a job, you're trying to get through the
Yeah.
noise that is everyone else trying to get their attention.
We
So
be the
definitely a leg
signals.
up. Yep.
That's awesome. So we started about this sales journey, and I think you pretty much mentioned throughout the journey how exactly we can use in different part of the sales process. So is there any specific methods or key things which you look into while you are creating your videos for prospecting or for engagement or for anything, like any key things, or probably these are like to do's and do nots while creating your video?
Yeah, so I definitely, hands down, no brainer, keep it under 2 minutes. Ideally around 30 seconds, but definitely no longer than 2 minutes. So you will lose your audience. It won't work. You're not a
Yeah.
celebrity yet, right? You're not, unless you are, you're not a YouTube star. You're not one of those things, right? You can't expect someone to listen to you for more than 2 minutes straight on a one-sided conversation. So timing is definitely important. I certainly recommend, not reading a script, but writing out a script, right? So you have it for reference and read through it several times before doing the recording, just so you're comfortable with it, right? And familiar
Yeah.
with it. And then last but not least, absolutely do not forget to smile in a video. There's few things worse than somebody sending you a video and they are
Exactly.
monotone and they are bored, right? And they're like wearing their emotions of misery on their face. Not
Yeah.
cool, right? So you got to
Yeah.
smile. You got to worry about your tone. You got to worry about the linguistics and language that you're using. Don't be too jargony, just like in traditional sales talk. Don't be too jargony. Don't use too many industry lingos or terms. Don't assume the audience knows all the lingo. You know, make sure you simplify it, dumb it down with clear, concise messaging. But yeah, those would be my
do's and
those
don'ts,
would
if
be
I
my
catch it
guidance. Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
I
right.
think I agree with one point is that this has been a feedback for me, especially when I started doing videos, especially when I was being a guest, people would say me like, Lakshman, we've been trying to get a screenshot from our conversation, and we tried through the entire video and you didn't smile, not even in like 1 second of the video where I could probably take a screenshot. I was like, okay, I never thought this is something which would matter. And later on I started improvising. But the most important thing is, whenever you're on a video, the person who's watching this, they kind of feed off your energy which you are delivering through your camera presence. I think that is something I've learned over the year. Even in our talk, probably the moment we switch on our video, in our past conversation, the energy sort of tends to elevate at times as well. So yeah, that's definitely one takeaway. Like, throughout this conversation, I'm pretty sure there's going to be more value bombs here. But if you're somebody who's starting off with video, then this is going to be a key component. You can, improvise on your script. You can improvise on your tools and other stuff. But if you can just nail your camera presence and then keep it short and everything, then yes, you're gonna have a killer video campaign. We will talk more on that. Dave, again, I just want to ask you this thing. So you've been handling multiple industries as well, right? We spoke about how exactly videos are helping in different process and what kind of videos are helping. Now, is there any specific cohort or any particular industry or any particular designation? For example, can I send a video to a CXO, or should I be sending only to the managerial level? The CVDM category wherein people would make, right? So is there any sort of cohorts by industry, by designation, by process, wherein you have personally found videos work better?
Yeah, that's another great question, and I found that a lot of folks from even our team often question that, like, is it okay to send a video to the CXO, right? Is that taboo? Is that inappropriate? And they ask that same question, and we all have, right, on whether it's appropriate to call them, or when to leave a voicemail or not, or when to follow up. Like, we ask ourselves these questions, and we kind of get in our own way. My holistic and agnostic approach in truth is that everyone and anyone is a good candidate to receive a video, right?
Got it.
Potentially. Because again, it's about getting through the noise, and maybe they won't respond well to video. You have to use an omni-channel approach when prospecting specifically. So you got to use the phone, you got to use the email, but also use video, also use LinkedIn, also use these other channels. All you're doing is compounding the efficacy of your prospecting efforts and increasing your likelihood or probability of booking a meeting, right? So they will not see, I'll guarantee you all this right now. They will not see 100% of the videos that
Yeah.
you do not
Yeah.
send, right?
Got it.
So, but then, to kind of get more to the point and a little less, evasive of your question, as a general thumb, if you think about the roles and responsibilities of the recipients of your videos, as a general thumb, what kind of personalities are in those roles? And as a general thumb, understanding that extroverted people or more social people tend to be more receptive and like and responsive to videos, whereas introverts are typically not. And my wife's an introvert, right? I'm the extrovert. Between the two of us, we're yin and yang. She would hate receiving a video message, and I know that,
Yeah.
right? That's why I would send a text to her. But you don't know what form of channel of communication is best for your prospects, so you got to use them all. Just add video to the mix to increase
Trial and error. We go
your
back to the first
efficiency.
statement again. Trial
Exactly.
and error, right? Yeah. It's great. I think again, this is probably the first time. Every time we talk about video KPIs, I'm not sure if I have it in my question here as well. But every time I invite somebody, we talk about video KPIs. One of the KPI which everyone would always mention is, see how long the prospect has watched the video. If you have like 30%, 40%, then it means different. If somebody has watched 80%, then it means different. But I like what you said. When you're sending it to a CXO level person, you should probably take it with a pinch of salt. He is definitely not going to view more than 60% of the video. And if I touch 30 to 35%, then I'm like, okay, that's a successful campaign, which I have delivered. Doesn't really matter if he watches more than 70% of the video. Like, because obviously they know how to scrub through plays and, take probably only things which they want, etc. But yeah, that actually sort of makes sense. moving away from the traditional light. It is important to figure out whom you're sending the video, and then probably customize the metrics, or understand the metrics from that perspective as well, instead of just generalizing it in the overall segment.
Yeah,
um,
spot on. I just to add on that, right? Like trial and error, right? Of course, back to that. It's test, evaluate,
yeah
repeat. But the other thing to think about there is, you don't really have to overthink it. Don't over-engineer it. But it's important to know that you have a secondary layer of filtration and refinement, and that's in having a tool like Vmaker. I imagine that would allow you the ability to review and analyze those findings. Right. There's nothing to say that in 3 months or 6 months after running an effective, and scaled video prospecting process or program, that you wouldn't then go to the data, look at the reflective data on what has occurred, and maybe you do tweak and change your messaging just like you would with prospecting emails, right?
Yep.
That's okay and encouraged, but just don't let perfection get in the way of good enough,
Yeah.
and don't let that get in the way of you sending a video out there. Just send one. Everybody just challenge yourselves today. Go spend 30 seconds. You can send it to me, send it to Lakshman if you want on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
But send us a video, right? I'll give you feedback. You please send me a video. I will absolutely sit down and watch it, give you my feedback on it. Happy to do so. Now this is going to be interesting to see all the videos I get to watch, but
Definitely.
it's about anything. Happy to do so. Go ahead. Sorry.
But yeah, I think if somebody is going to mention as stating, like, maybe to you, maybe to me, if somebody is going to send a video and they say, this is my first recording and this is the first time I'm probably trying video prospecting, and I'm just going to send it to you, even if you don't like the prospecting pitch, tell me how the video is, then the chances are, like, for me, 100% I'm gonna go ahead and watch that video. Forget about the buying process, but then definitely he's like guaranteed a feedback at that point of time. And I believe, from my experience, even when I cold email people, in the past like this, people would be like, hey, you know what, just hold it, give me 2 days, I'm gonna look into it and I'm gonna get back to you, don't worry about that, but I'll get back to you. There's always a nice touch there, to be honest and be truthful. But at the end of the day, you should always be embarrassed about the first content you've ever produced. If not, you
Yes.
haven't grown. That's always the case for everybody.
Yeah. If you're comfortable, you're not growing. So get uncomfortable.
Exactly.
It's time to grow. Let's do this.
It's awesome. So, okay, now once again, extending on the same. So you said people to create video, ask them to create video and then send them over. So everyone should be trying. So who are these people who should be trying or experimenting with videos, and who are the people who will be benefiting, by probably using video in their prospecting techniques?
Yeah, that's another question. And some of the folks on our team even asked, why me? Why should I use video, right?
Yeah.
When thinking about or trying to assess, is video right for me and my role and my job function? My guidance is that anyone that's responsible for any type of business development effort, right, and or managing active open sales cycles, as well as even customer success, right? Whether you're using videos to do an intro for the onboarding process, right, or implementation, or whether you're using video as supplemental training, right, homework for an existing or new customer, right? So I would say video should be utilized and could be utilized and enhance the experience for your customers, for anybody in a customer facing role. That's really where I would draw the category at.
Okay, that's awesome. I think customer facing is one thing, but one thing I would like to add is, even in terms of internal communication as well, that's something we have seen in the past. Like we I think it took us like almost a week before we scheduled our first call, and I was like, okay, you know what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna send him a Vmaker recording with the entire detail, let him watch the video, we can probably continue the conversation on email, because it's not something that is absolutely essential that two people have to sit on call, brainstorm ideas, and then have that synchronous communication going on. I thought, okay, this is just me trying to communicate something or inform something, and this can always be a video. It's a little too much for the email. It is definitely not too good for a call. Somewhere in between, wherein video comes into play as well. And that is one more area I've seen people go. But customer support roles, my god, we just sort of started this practice internally, wherein when somebody comes in with a question, they cannot read him something, they cannot get the video uploaded, they have some sort of troubleshooting option. Instead of sending them the FAQ. Whenever possible, of course, this is not possible in all cases, but whenever possible, we sort of send them a quick recording of this is where you want to go, this is where you want to click. And
Yeah.
it solves the query, that is like granted. But again, with customer support, you sort of deliver a customer experience as well. The support experience which the people get has been like tremendous, and that has really increased the the rating which we have got through our support system over the past as well. So definitely customer facing role without a brainstorm. I think this area is still in its nascent stages. Pretty sure it's going to boom out in the next 1 or 2 years, I believe.
Yeah, I would agree. It's definitely about to blow up, and so your timeline for being able to establish yourself and differentiate yourself and land grab that market share through differentiation, that time's running out. So you need to jump on it
Yeah,
sooner rather than later, for sure.
exactly. So, David, what are some of your favorite tools you use in order to create videos on the go? Please don't tell me Premiere Pro and all those fancy softwares. Like on the base level, on the go, what are the tools you use?
Final Cut Pro, right? No, I'm just kidding. I was going back to like my high school like graphic design, video editing days. Thankfully, tools like Vmaker exist, so you don't have to have a degree, associates or otherwise, in graphic design and video production, right? Those days are gone. Technology is advanced. Platforms like Vmaker are out here to help us as users more easily accomplish these goals. I will say that I like, a Chrome extension interface like Vmaker more than what I used to do, which is just recording like selfie videos on my cell phone, which for whatever reason always gets like the worst angle. It definitely catches my second or third chin. It wasn't very good for me. So that brings up another good point in terms of tools. Make sure you have the right kind of camera.
Yeah,
And if you find that you really do like video prospecting and or leveraging video throughout your sales process or customer engagement, I would encourage and recommend, even a USB camera, because the integrated camera native to most of the hardware on most of the computers is not good. And so if you're going to go through the time and effort to put together a video, you might as well have the right equipment to do it correctly,
definitely.
right? So right camera, right microphone, do a sound check, do a test recording, play it back through headphones and play it back through the speaker. That way you can hear what it's likely to be heard like or sound like from your prospect's point of view, right? And then I would reverse engineer the troubleshooting and or improvement of your hardware from there. Software wise, obviously as a forum to deliver video prospecting, my email, my sales engagement platform for us, that's Outplay, is what we leverage to deliver the video content, as well as LinkedIn. But tools like Vmaker, frankly, Loom, Vidyard, all these are tools that we've used before, tried out. Some have integrations, others don't. So it just kind of depends on what works best for you. But yeah, I think microphone, camera, check. Comfortable seating or standing area, check. So the environment, and then the right software to get it done and delivered with ease, right? And even better if you can deliver it through a tool like Vmaker and have the visibility on percentage watched and open rates and stuff like
Analytics.
that as well. Yeah, analytics.
It's awesome. Yep, I think most people, they usually mention like Loom and Vidyard, and I keep telling them, you should probably give Vmaker a try. And this is my challenge, which is going to be tell you like, people always say send me a Loom recording, and we are going to say send them a Vmaker recording. That's exactly how the proposition we want to change as well. But definitely, guys, for checking out, please do give Vmaker a try. Thanks, David, for the mention as well. No, this is not a paid promotion. I did not pay anything for David to come and talk about it.
Wait, I'm not
But
getting
yeah,
paid for this? Oh
no.
man. I'm just kidding.
I'm gonna send you PayPal, but don't tell these people.
All right, cool.
Uh, anyway, so thanks for the mention, David. But yep, obviously the one thing which I loved is, again, one more thing I would like to add on to it is apart from the tools, it's about reducing the friction. Like this is one thing which has personally worked for me. So anyone who's somebody like me who's just getting started with videos, one of the thing is, right now, I have a camera here and there is a light behind me there. I just have to turn on and immediately I can start recording. Sort of completely blows down the friction which I've had in the past, wherein, you have to set up the light, set up the tripod and everything. That itself is a process. And then I learned that, I mean, this can be used for anything which you are trying to develop. If you feel like there is a sort of friction between you getting started with that particular thing, try to reduce it as much as possible, and you will start doing it a lot more. Maybe in addition to all the gear and the software David mentioned, I'm going to add this one as well. So probably do try and let me know if at all it is work, whether it is for video recording, whether it is for your morning jog. If it works, it's going to be great.
Absolutely.
You're smiling.
Build
You're
a
smiling
habit,
as well.
right? Build a habit and discipline, right?
Exactly.
At the end of the day, just do it.
So another one I want to ask is, this is sort of a controversial question, because of course, the market is still working on a specific answer for this particular topic, wherein personalization at scale, whether it is in terms of digital level personalization or personalization in particular channels, personalization at scale is always a question mark here. So how do you handle that, personalizing your video communication?
Yeah, that's a constant topic because it's a constant battle, traditionally fought between leadership and the team, right? If you go to the team, they're like all about the notion of a personalized form of outreach and tailoring a message. And then, you get some that do, and then their activity metrics go down, right? So they're behind on calls, they're behind on sending emails and other job related tasks. And then when asked why, it's because they spent so much time personalizing everything so well. And so that is not what is called personalization at scale. That's over personalization. That's paralysis by analysis, right? That's unfortunately getting too in the weeds on what should be done. So really, effective personalization at scale is conducted by first having a plan to personalize, right? What is your standard operating procedure or process, template, script, workflow, or sequence, whatever it is you use to configure what the guardrails of your workflow is. You first build that, then practice, right? Obviously, as you go through repetition, you get better and faster and more efficient at it. But in regards to specific techniques within our process to personalize at scale, one of the first and foremost places we go to is, of course, LinkedIn. And as you're perusing LinkedIn on your potential prospect, you want to make sure that you're looking at obviously any personal interest or hobbies that might come up or be peppered in through their activity or feed. If you can't find that, obviously stick to something that's important or relevant to them, that matters to them, and it needs to be something that's relatively recent, right? If you send a shout out or a call out and reference something that happened a year ago in their LinkedIn feed, that could have been 5 posts ago, or that could have been 5,000 posts ago, right? So you're not going to make the connection that you attempted to make, and therefore all the work you put into making the video and getting it sent, much less the chance that they opened it and started to watch it, it's all for naught because you didn't personalize it correctly, right? So there's a balance to be had. It's the takeaway. The TLDR is, don't over personalize or justify time wasted as over personalization. That's an abuse of time. But you have to tailor it and personalize it enough, because if you don't, then people are going to think that you're using some, automation gadget or gizmo that's just copy and pasting and maybe only changing their name in the video, right? And that's kind of hokey, and that doesn't always land very well, and it kind of takes away some of the genuine, appreciation someone could have of you taking the time to make a video.
Absolutely. That's probably the first thing we wanted to break. Once people start with personalization, unfortunately the trend has been set that whenever you think of personalization, people think about, okay, I'm going to personalize it with your first name, last name, and your company name. These are like the 3 golden keywords which everyone would start with. But to be honest, it can be as simple as, like you said, mentioning one of their last posts, or probably mentioning something which they spoke about recently. It could be any of those things, but again, not to overdo it as well, because it's always easy to dig a rabbit hole and then go through it completely, like end up chewing like 2 hours of your time just for that one video. But at the same time, you have to keep it in the right balance, exactly what you say. And I'll probably go back to the first question here again: trial and error. Always
I know, right? An oldie but a goodie, but it's so relevant. It applies in many cases.
I'd say 6 questions later, the answer still stands. That's how effective it has been. So that's awesome, David. That's pretty much what I had for you today. This has been a great conversation we have had so far. So before I leave you, it's exactly 10:31, and I think I'm getting pretty good at completing these things on time. So just to extend it a little more, I'm gonna ask you like 5 rapid fire questions. These are like pretty open, fun sort of questions. So feel free to answer them, but don't feel free to skip them. It's going to be pretty easy. So you ready for it?
Maybe.
You don't have an option right
I
now.
mean, yes.
So,
Yes. Then I'm ready. Yes.
so
Surprise.
yeah. What is the current book you're reading?
So as of right now, so I actually do a couple of, I do audiobooks and then like handheld books. So my At the Ready handheld book it's actually a book on Zen, 10 minutes of Zen. So it's kind of a
Oh,
daily discipline to kind of meditation, and just found myself needing to have moments of clarity, right? And much like I need to schedule time to prospect and schedule time to do video prospecting, I gotta also schedule time and prioritize, some self-care, right? And so part of that is the meditation. So that's the one that's kind of my project book. In terms of entertaining books, I'm kind of a dork, so I do like industry books, self-help books, but the one book I never fail to recommend to everyone, and it's on my annual reread list, meaning you go back to it, you read it again, you get reminded of great content,
yeah.
and you tend to learn something new again that you didn't catch the first time you read through it. That book is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's a classic. It's been out for a while, but it stood the test of time as well, like trial and error. And it's a great read.
That's awesome. So when you're not in calls, what exactly will you be doing? What is your hobby?
So I'm what's referred to as a Renaissance man, meaning that I have way too many hobbies, and not enough things that I'm really good at. But primarily, my time can be spent. You can find me in the workshop. So I
Mhm.
am a woodworker. So I make things like this out of wood. I make pens
Oh,
and bowls and vases and pepper mills and salt and pepper shakers, like just anything that's kind of circular and made of wood. I put it on my lathe and take some tools, sharpen it, go in there and just zone out, right, and focus on the project until there's a final piece. But for like my Christmas list, right, because it says the season, is typically golf, guns, and Xbox, right? So
wow.
uh, any golf accessories, any gift certificates for the shooting range, or what have you. I'm a Georgia boy, so we have those here. And Xbox, because I'm a gamer, I'm a nerd, and I play some with my son too. So
That's awesome. Having an all-rounder affair across all hobbies, I guess.
yeah,
That's pretty interesting. But I love the wood pieces. Is that the one which you showed? Is that something you prepared?
yeah, no, I made this. This is out of apple
Wow,
wood.
that's
Whoops, sorry. There we go.
nice.
Yeah, so it's a little vase, right? But the
Seemed
apple
like a
wood
pro at
has
it.
a lot of contrast in color, right? It's got the dark spalted lines. It's got
Yeah.
the rich browns and the light browns. Like apple wood is gorgeous, gorgeous wood.
It's awesome, man. I learned something new today. So let's say you're starting everything all over again. In terms of your career, what is it? One thing you would probably do differently? I know you have had a fantastic career, but at the same time, if there is one thing
Yeah.
you might want to change,
Um, like if
the
I
deep
could give
question.
myself a piece of advice, and there's a lot of things I want to tell the younger self, right? But to the me in this space, um, you know, have gratitude and appreciation for the tools that exist today, and
Mhm.
have respect and perspective on the fact that those things didn't exist. Like you and I were talking in the beginning, I used to use spreadsheets and
Yeah.
other stuff to keep track of, my CRM, right? I didn't have a CRM. So be appreciative of the tools that we have. And what I would tell myself, back then is just do it, right? Like I don't need to should not have challenged so much in terms of like being thought provoking and thinking about a different way of doing stuff. I mean, I appreciate that about who I am, but at the end of the day, you pointed out earlier in the section, just creating and committing to a daily discipline of trying it, right? Just make the video, just go record it. and then
Yeah,
send it and see what happens. Just do it. Commit to it for
just
3
do
weeks straight, right? See what happens. If you don't like it, cool. Go do something else. But you'll like it. You're welcome. And you can thank us later.
That's awesome, man. We sort of had this thing wherein, whenever we started doing something, I personally have this metrics divided into two: an input metric and an output metric. So let's say, I want to start a webinar series. My input metric is going to be how many webinars I do. My output metric is going to be, okay, whatever business goal we are trying to achieve with that particular activity which we're doing. The one thing where I sort of felt people go wrong is they start measuring the output metric right from day one. Okay, I've completed one webinar. What is my business ROI out of this? And then later on, a small change which we did there is, okay, you have to set a goal for your input metric. Make 20, 30 webinars. Like, don't even look back what sort of revenue, like don't worry about optimization and all those things. You will learn everything on the go. Just go ahead and do those 30 webinars, and then you look back and start working on the optimization part, the output metric part, intact. And that has probably changed the perspective on everything. Just go ahead and do it. Like, you're not going to lose anything. That's something which has helped.
No, absolutely.
Great, man.
That works.
So next question is, okay, you mentioned about CRM, and like, we have seen enough memes on internet about salespeople updating their CRM. Like, it never gets old. Is it still true that the CRM is updating your CRM regularly is the most hated job?
Can I plead the fifth? Is that allowed? Are you familiar with the Fifth Amendment? Where I don't, if I answer it, I might get myself in trouble. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, it's not fun. Most salespeople don't like admin work. It's not how our brains work. We like people and socializing and interaction. But yeah, that's definitely still an issue.
But has to be done. It's always a love-hate relationship, I believe. Okay, one last question before I let you. What is that one challenge you have faced in terms of video production? Right from scripting, shooting, could be anything. The silliest of things.
Prioritizing the time to do it.
Okay, that's pretty new. So in general, when do you do that?
Conceptually, I know that it's a good thing to do and should be done. It's prioritizing and making time on the calendar to get it done. And then when you're at the calendar slot and you're supposed to be doing it, then doing it in that moment, right? It's going back to building that habit and that daily discipline of prospecting. I like to do it in the morning, right? When I'm freshest. And generally speaking, best practice there is to what we like to do here at Outplay is send a video message as a reminder for the upcoming meeting tomorrow. So I'll go to all my meetings for the next day. I'll create a video that's personalized and send it to all the prospects as a reminder for the upcoming meeting. And we do that to try and help meeting attendance rate, booking rate.
Got it. Yep, that's pretty much it. We have come to the end. Thanks a lot, Dave. Thanks for joining in. This is probably as expected, I would say. Right from our previous conversation, this is exactly what I've expected. Probably the energy flowing right from the start till the end. Absolute pleasure having you, and some great value add as well, some practical value adds, instead of just going through the books. These are all from your experience, kind of action items which I've shared. So thanks a lot, Dave. How did you feel about it?
I felt great, Lakshman. It was great. You're a great host. Thanks so much again for having me. Happy to be a part of this this new experiment of trial and error that you're taking underway, and definitely looking forward to joining you again in several months. Maybe we check in and do another one, kind of update and reflect. Maybe we do another webinar where we actually display the videos that these people were going to send us, right? And
that's going to be interesting.
Live coaching. I don't know. We got ideas though. We'll figure them out.
Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to it. Thanks, David. Thanks once again for joining.